Okay, Jackie, Nico's joined the meeting.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jackie Lopez, and I'm the chairperson of the Planning Commission for the City of Indio. I call this meeting of January 27th to order. And if I can please have roll call.
Chairperson Jackie Lopez.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Nico Isiano.
Present.
Commissioner Eric Ceja.
Present.
Commissioner Christian Rodriguez Ceja.
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Franz.
Present.
Thank you. And at this time, can I get the introduction of staff?
Sure. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Tonight we have Community Development Director Kevin Snyder, Gustavo Gomez, Assistant Planner, Nikki Gomez, Assistant Planner, Rosie Luo, Associate Planner, Vanessa Castillo, Admin Assistant, Evelyn Beltran, Secretary, and Assistant City Attorney Stephanie Kao, and myself, Leila Namvar, Senior Planner. And I believe Jason Anderson, our Code Enforcement Manager, is here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And the Pledge of Allegiance, if I can get Vice Chair Nico Isiano to go ahead and lead us.
Yes, certainly. Please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And at this time, I guess we get a statement from our Commission Secretary.
The general rules of courtesy for virtual meetings are as follows. Please be mindful of background noise when joining the virtual meeting. Participants must mute all live streaming devices to avoid playback when speaking. Meeting participants must mute their microphone to help keep background noise to a minimum when they are not speaking. When your microphone is not muted, avoid activities that could create additional noise. Position your camera properly. If you choose to use a webcam, be sure it is in a stable position and focused at eye level if possible. If you will be sharing content during the meeting, make sure you have those files and/or links ready to go before the meeting begins. Members from the public wishing to provide oral testimony must follow the instructions on the agenda and/or online in order to provide public comment for agenda or non-agenda items. Members from the public wishing to provide oral testimony have 3 minutes to provide oral testimony. Jackie, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I was listening to your rules. Now a statement from our City Attorney.
Good evening, Chairperson Lopez and Commissioners. My name is Stephanie Kao, and I'm filling in for Assistant City Attorney Zachary Heinzelman tonight. There have been no directives issued temporarily halting local government processing of land use and development review applications and/or consideration of policy actions, including but not limited to general plan amendments, zoning code amendments, and new or amended specific plans. Therefore, the City of Indio continues to accept and process applications in accordance with state and local requirements. The City of Indio is following Governor Newsom's executive orders N2520 and N2920 pertaining to the Brown Act. These executive orders allow governmental entities to conduct meetings by electronic means and for members of the public to observe the meeting electronically, as well as provide public comment or public testimony telephonically or otherwise electronically. Accordingly, the City Council and Planning Commission are currently conducting scheduled meetings in a virtual meeting format. The City of Indio has implemented technology solutions that allow members of the public to observe and offer public comment, as well as public testimony during public hearings at scheduled Planning Commission meetings. The city is committed to providing public participation opportunities while also complying with requirements for the processing of land use and development review applications and/or consideration of policy actions.
Chairperson Lopez, you are muted again. I'm sorry.
Well, I apologize. Okay, do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda?
There were none.
Okay, and given that there's no minutes, we'll go ahead and move to item 8.1, which is the town and country tentative parcel map number 38028. And we'll be receiving a report from Gustavo.
That is correct. Madam Chair, let me share my screen. Can everyone see my presentation? Perfect. So good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Gustavo Gomez, Assistant Planner, and before you is the Town and Country tentative parcel map number 38028, project number TPM 20-11-408. The project is located south of Highway 111 and north of Dr. Carrion. The zoning for this for the project is community commercial, and the general plan designation is mixed use neighborhood. Just some brief background on the subject property. It is within a already developed shopping center. It's the Town and Country Shopping Center, and it currently has two existing buildings already. One of them is it's a place of worship that is located towards the back of the lot, and the other is a vacant, what used to be a bank facing along Highway 111. The applicant is proposing to subdivide 1.65 acres parcel into two parcels. As mentioned before, the project is located in a already fully developed shopping center, and the purpose of the tentative parcel map is to separate the two buildings to occupy one parcel each. Here is the breakdown of that parcel split. So as you can see, the first parcel facing Highway 111 contains the vacant bank, and then similarly towards the back, it's the place of worship. The project has been staff has reviewed the project and has determined that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act under the Class 15 exemption, because the proposed division is within the city of Indio and in a fully developed shopping center. The project is zoned commercial, and the subdivision is into two parcels. It conforms with the general plan and the zoning, and there are no variances being requested or exceptions required. And the parcel has not been involved in any divisions in the past 2 years, and the slope of it is not greater than 20%. In addition to that, the project has been reviewed by our city's Public Works Department and Fire, and they no issues for circulation and traffic came up during their review. But in addition to that, the project has been conditioned to provide reciprocal access and parking. With that, the staff's recommendation is to adopt resolution 1975, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Indio, California, recommending that the City Council approve tentative parcel map number 38028, project number TPM 20-11-408, to subdivide an existing parcel of land into two legal lots, subject to the findings and conditions of approval therein, and determining that the project is categorically exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, section 15315 for minor land divisions. With that concludes my staff report, and staff and the applicant's representative is here to answer any questions that the commission might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Gustavo. Do we have any comments or questions for Gustavo from our commissioners? Any questions?
I have one, Jackie. I just want to confirm, Gustavo, I'm pretty sure you said this, but I want to make sure I heard you right. There is reciprocal access agreement between the two parcels, correct?
That is correct. The applicant has been conditioned to, when they do the recordation of the final map, to have reciprocal access and parking.
Okay, that was my one concern. Just wanted to make sure I heard you right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Franz. Any other further questions? Okay, seeing that there are none, is the applicant or any of the representatives present that wish to add to the staff report? Yes, okay. I have a Rich. Vanessa, is he going to chime in or?
He should be in there as a panelist. I did promote him, so he
Okay,
should be able to unmute and share his screen if need be.
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I guess my camera's not working. I would like to thank the staff and the director for all their help and the great customer service they provided our client and the Altum Group. And we read through the staff report and we concur with all the conditions of approval. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. I'm sorry, can you please state your name for the record? I'm sorry, I just got your first name.
Rich Malikoff, Principal
Malikoff.
Planner with the Altum Group.
Thank you. Do commissioners have any questions for the applicant? Or do we have any public comments on the item?
There were no public comments received.
Okay. Okay, so seeing that there's no questions from the commissioners, I guess we can go ahead and close the public comments. Like, I'm getting this right.
That's correct. You're just closing
Okay.
the public hearing.
The public hearing, yes, okay. And so I guess at this point, do I have any closing remarks from any of the commissioners?
No, Chair, I think this is pretty straightforward. It's a subdivision of land for an existing shopping center. It may hopefully lead to newer development in the area, but I think the appropriate things are in the map, including the reciprocal access and parking. So I feel pretty good about it.
Thank you, Commissioner Seha. Commissioner Franz?
I agree. If there are no other comments, I can go ahead and make the motion. No other comments? Okay, I'll take a stab at the motion. I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 1975, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Indio, California, recommending that the City Council approve tentative partial map number 38028 TPM 20-11-408 to subdivide an existing parcel of land into two legal lots subject to the findings and conditions of the approval therein, and determining that the project is categorically exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA 15315, minor land divisions.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Okay. So can we go ahead and get roll call, please?
Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Isiano,
Yes.
Commissioner Seha,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez Seha,
Yes.
Commissioner Franz.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay. Okay, next item is 8.2, which is the Church of the Red Door Environmental Assessment, 20-05-548, specific plan 20-05-40, tentative parcel map 20-03-0403, conditional use permit, and design review. And go ahead and have staff go ahead and
Good evening, Madam Chairperson and members of the Planning Commission. As you mentioned, the project is Church at the Red Door. It is a religious facility. It includes 5 different entitlements: environmental, specific plan to create new zoning, tentative parcel map to create appropriate properties or lots, conditional use permit to allow a church, and design review for the design and circulation of the project. At this point, staff recommends that the Planning Commission opens the public hearing, ask for public testimony, but do not take any action and just continue the item to its regular meeting of February 10. That way, the applicant will have sufficient time to analyze the project with respect to the General Plan 2040. The applicant is here and they would like to give a short presentation, and I believe we have also public testimony. Thank you. I will close my presentation, so if the applicant would like to share, they can.
Okay. Do we have any commissions for Layla before we hear from our applicant? Okay, if the applicant could can go ahead and start your report, and if you can please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, and all planning commissioners. My name is Chris Herman, and I'm an elder at Church at the Red Door and also chairman of our property development team. This evening, I will be giving you a brief overview of our church and the process we've been working through to get here for a hearing on this specific plan. Church of the Red Door was organized almost 4 years ago by our senior pastor, Jeff Cranford. Jeff was a PGA professional who was called into ministry over 20 years ago to reach behind the walls of country clubs to share the Bible. He also serves as president of an organization called Links International. It's nationwide and holds over 250 Bible studies throughout the United States and abroad. Jeff's a gifted teacher and has helped thousands of people find joy in their calling and purpose in life. The church is the culmination of the efforts of hundreds of people with Jeff's leadership over these last 20 years. And it simply needs a permanent facility to hold services. Pre-COVID, we were meeting in the UC Riverside campus in Palm Desert with a total attendance in the mid-400s for 2 services in peak season. In the summer, we would drop to 1 service with approximately 100 to 150 in attendance. Since the pandemic, we broadcast our messages recorded over an online platform in our own YouTube channel. Our live views for a 1 Sunday service at 9:30 are typically between 250 and 275. We began the process of searching for a property over 3 years ago. The Avenue 49 in Jefferson site is where we really believe God has called this church. Several meetings were held with city staff with some early site plans and studies to illustrate the idea, and at that time, the general plan was being updated. In the new general plan, the site was changed to connected neighborhood, and it allows for a place of worship as a secondary use. It makes sense. Churches are great neighbors for the community. For example, Church at the Red Door financially supports and provides volunteer support for the following: Coachella Valley Rescue Mission, Angel Tree, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Mama's House, Desert Christian Academy, King's School, Links Players International, Young Life, Israel College of the Bible, SOS International, The Narrow Door, Refuge Pregnancy Center, and Grief Share. In addition, we provide benevolence assistance to community members on a case-by-case basis, some who don't even attend our church. In our youth group, when we had a facility and a youth group meeting, we're helping serve meals at Miles Avenue Park. In addition, we really believe that this church is the least impactful for all of the potential uses on the property. Staff advised us to develop a specific plan for the site because while the general plan was being adopted, the new zoning code could take much longer than this process. In addition, staff asked us to move the building as close to the street as possible and keep parking behind the building so that there would be a nice landscape buffer to both the neighbors and along both streets, and not have a sea of asphalt parking lot on Jefferson and 49. We met with you, the Planning Commission, on February 12th, 2020 to receive initial feedback on the site plan and on the architecture. There was concern about building massing and the height of the cross. Both items have been addressed in the specific plan. We've held 3 community workshops. We had a live workshop on July 9th of 2019 and February 29th of 2020, and we did a Zoom meeting September 10th on 2020. The first submittal of our specific plan was made May 15th, 2020. The initial plan called for a total project size of over 100,000 square feet in 6 phases. The city staff also requested a CUP, and we made an application and paid fees for that. After hearing community concerns in the public review process, we made the following changes to the specific plan between May and November. We removed a day school and daycare as an allowed use. Removed the amphitheater. We revised the allowable temporary uses. We added prohibited uses such as the distribution of food other than after a natural or man-made disaster. Made significant traffic changes, a left turn pocket in the Jefferson median south of 49, a longer right turn lane into the project on Jefferson than in the original plan, relocation of the Jefferson entry to the north to accommodate the longer turn pocket, and widening of Avenue 49 to provide a right turn lane into the project. The overall project site size has been reduced from 112,918 square feet to 45,141 square feet and eliminated 2 buildings. The sanctuary is 25,332 square feet. The children's ministry area is 9,399 feet. And the adult meeting rooms are 7,277 square feet, and the offices are 3,133 square feet. The overall site is only 10% developed. It's 90% open space at full build out. There will be approximately 580 seats in phase 1 and approximately 958 at full build out. We've consistently worked with staff providing timely responses to all of their requests and then resubmitted the revised specific plan on November 11th, 2020. On just Monday this week, we met again with staff for over 2 hours to make refinements to the specific plan prior to presenting it to you for final action at the February 10th Planning Commission meeting. Tonight, we have our architect who's going to come on and he's going to do an overview of the project, fairly short and sweet. And we will have our other consultants and traffic engineers at the February 10th meeting to address any of your questions and concerns. We want to thank you for your service. We've been praying for you and for this project that you see it in a positive light as we do and approve it in 2 weeks when the city staff has completed its review and report. And we want to thank you.
Thank you so much. For, I guess, a housekeeping matter really quick, I just want to make sure that this hearing is now open. Forgot to add that, so, okay.
We will have David Keitel. He's going to have screen sharing capability, and he will start. It's just a beginning video to give you an idea of the site context.
Good evening, Madam Commissioner and all the other commissioners. My name is David Keitel. I'm with Doma Studio Architects in San Diego. We specialize in religious facilities, have done about 250 of them over the last 35 years. We have 2 videos tonight. The first video is just an overview of the site to make you familiar with it. The second video is of the design of the project. This is a view from Jefferson and Avenue 49. You can see the site is undeveloped. There is an existing house on the property, a modern piece of architecture designed by architect Walter White, which will remain. You can see it's up on a berm. And there's an existing drive, access drive that will also remain. The second video. This is an overview of the entire project. This is a view looking up, looking north on Jefferson. And this is the complete build out of the project. You can see it's set back from the neighborhood on the rear side and on the south side. And this is, again, the complete phase. So this is phase one that has a portion of the long building included in phase one. Phase two adds on to that. Phase three adds on to that. And phase four adds on to the taller building. The average setback along Jefferson is 62 feet, sorry, with the sanctuary portion encroaching diagonal into that area. The building is really in the architectural flavor of modern architecture, reflecting a lot of the stuff that you find in the valley. And we propose a small monument sign on both entrances that you saw as we flew by, both street entrances. And there's a lot of covered outdoor gathering areas and walkways. And each end of the parking lot has a roundabout so people parking can orbit through the parking lot. The building is very transparent from Jefferson and through the site. So there's some large outdoor areas. This happens to be the children's area. And covered walkways when you leave your car. There's a rural that separates the parking from the building with bridges that cross over that. The main worship center is in the larger volume. And there's some larger outdoor areas behind core-tin panels on the side of the building. The building architecture has changed from when you last have seen it. As Chris mentioned, the size was reduced, square footage was reduced. You had comments previously about the elevation being broke up more, which we have introduced with the stopping and starting of the panels, the change to the core-tin CMU block, and then plaster. The building you can see from Avenue 49, you can enter from there or from the corner, and it's transparent from that side. And there's a cross tower that was 70 feet tall, and we have reduced it to 50 feet tall per your comments from the last review with you. The long building that parallels Jefferson continues from one side of the building to the other side. But you can see the transparency through the glass of the building, through the openings in the building. The wells will hold mechanical units. The overall height on the long building here is 14 feet, 20 feet to the top of the mechanical wells, and 31 feet to the top of the taller building. That concludes the video.
Thank you, David. That's the conclusion of what we had to present tonight. We want to thank you again for your time.
Thank you. So now, do we have any public comments? We do have some public comments on the item.
There were written comments received for item 8.2. Those comments have been distributed to the commissioners and posted online and made part of the agenda packet and public record for this meeting. I also have 4 others who would like to make public comments. I will start off by bringing Liz Stankis, Eric Stankis, and Teresa Stankis. They are all calling in from one line, but they would all like to make a public comment. I will bring them on now.
Thank you.
Hi, Liz, can you hear me?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, we can. I know all 3 of you are together and would like to make a public comment. You have 3 minutes each to make that comment.
Thank you. I guess I'll go first. My name is Liz Stankus, and I am a wife and a mother and an Indio resident. I actually live just up a block on 48 and Jefferson in the Bridge development. I am a desert native growing up here, and with my family, I dragged my husband down here. And I've just seen how the community in Indio has grown to be a really attractive place to live. In fact, we moved here just 2 years ago from La Quinta even. So I can't think of a better use of this property than Church at the Red Door. And while I am a member of Church at the Red Door, I'm also a community member in Indio. I'm going to be raising my 2 little girls here, and I can't think of a better place to walk them down the street to church on Sunday or whatever other day of the week we might be able to use it. This pandemic has hit us hard, really not being able to have a home. So from a personal standpoint, that would be so incredibly, such an incredible blessing really for us personally, and then for the community as well. I've seen the plans. It's beautiful. I know they put a lot of hard work into them to make it shine. And one of my favorite things about the property, if I can share that, is they're retaining that historical value with that home that's already on there that all of us passing by kind of look at and go, wow, that's really neat. So I just wanted to share my support of this project, being a very local community member. And I have a couple neighbor friends who live in Rincon. They couldn't join us tonight, but I do know that they also offer support, and they're excited to see what happens with this property. So thank you for your time. And do you want me to pass it off to somebody, or do you have an official way to hand it off?
You could pass it off to Eric if he'd like to join us, and I will start that.
Okay, I'll move it over.
Thank you.
It's almost bedtime for the children, so I'm going to step out. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eric Stankis, and I'm the husband of Liz Stankis, who just spoke. We live on the right up the street, the bridge on Jefferson, and just wanted to express my support for this project. And we have a growing family. It would be nice, the Church of the Red Door, of all that they support in our community. And I really, after reviewing the plans and looking at like the openness of the project, and the fact I heard Liz say that they had a historical building that they were going to use that has unique architecture, really like that aspect of it. And I just hope that you give it your greatest support. It'd be great to have something close by, literally right up the street, that could gather as a community. So thank you very much for listening to me, and appreciate your time. I'll have my Teresa will speak now.
Hello. So my name's Teresa Stankus, and I'm a grandmother of 2 beautiful little granddaughters. And I live in the bridge area too, on 48th and Jefferson. So it'd be the
Church of the Red Door would literally be a block away, which really excites me because it would be wonderful to have a community church in the area that supports so many of the wonderful projects. We have a lot of shopping centers in the area to go to, but we don't have a community church nearby. So I'm hoping that the Planning Commission pass this project and we can start building. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
We have another public comment from Donald Williams. Donald, can you hear me?
1 sec. Can you hear us? Oh, I need to go on mute. Sorry, guys.
Donald, are you with us? Can you hear me? Hi, Donald, are you with us? I am going to move Donald back to an attendee and bring over one more public comment. Hi, Richard, are you with us? Seems we're having some technical difficulties. Richard, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
We could hear you now. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'm Richard Cohey. I've been attending Church of the Red Door for almost 4 years, and I'm very much in favor of building our church on the corners of Jefferson and 49th. And I don't believe that we're going to have any significant effects on the traffic there because, as Chris said, we will have an entrance on Jefferson and an entrance on 49th. We will be having Sunday services, and it'll go between 8 and noon, but of that, each service is about an hour and a half. So 3 hours of that 4-hour period, there will not be any traffic there at all. Then another issue I know that I've heard when we've held our meetings is when they have the Coachella Fest and Stagecoach, are we going to allow parking in the parking lot? And we will not. So that will not be an issue. I can tell you that the building and the parking lot, as you've seen, is very well designed. It will be kept up. The landscaping will be maintenance very nicely. Everything will look good. There will not be an eyesore at all. And I just strongly feel that this is the best use for that property. So we will be very respectful and very caring of our neighbors. And I thank you for the time, and God bless you all.
One question, Mr. Cohey. What are you a resident of Indio? I didn't get that.
Palm Desert.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Chairperson Lopez, would you like me to try Donald Williams once more?
Sure.
Hi, Donald, are you with us? Donald, can you hear me for public comment? I have reached out to Donald through Messenger as well as on here. I don't know how we proceed, Stephanie.
Is it showing that Donald is actually in the meeting room with us right now?
Yes, it is. He has been promoted to panelist. It does show he is muted. I sent him a chat and I've tried to get his attention. I'm not sure if he's just unable to hear us.
Perhaps he may have stepped away. Is he the last speaker that you have on the list?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, then I'm not sure whether option there is, but if it is the intent for the commission to continue this public hearing to February 10, he will have another opportunity at that time to make a public comment.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and keep this public hearing open till the next meeting.
If that is in the intent of the commission, then yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I guess at this time, if there's any closing remarks from the applicants, and then we'll go ahead and questions from the commissioners. Or do we go ahead and start with questions from the commissioners?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We don't have any closing comments. We've made a
Okay.
presentation, and in essence, give you like you guys want to ask some questions or whatever, we're good.
Yes.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's go ahead. So if any of our commissioners want to go ahead and start with any questions.
So we did what, just a design review or a consultation earlier last year in 2020?
I guess we could call it, yes, it was a pre-application meeting, I think is what we call a pre-design meeting, the very first time we met, yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Seems like you took close attention to some of the comments that were made by the commission at that time and adjusted your plans accordingly. So I look forward to discussing this more on February 10th.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja, do you have any questions?
Chair, can I I apologize, Director
Yes.
Snyder. If the commissioners could be careful and not getting into commentary, but if you have questions, clarifying questions of the information presented tonight, the commentary is better for deliberation after the public hearing has formally closed. So just want to encourage the commissioners to be careful about not providing commentary or anything that might in any way indicate how you might vote on this. I think it's appropriate to ask questions of the information that's been presented to this evening, but probably no further than that.
Thank you. So any further questions before I ask a question?
I have a question. This is, I guess, for staff more than for the applicant. So when we talk about the architectural feature on the corner, it's gone from 70 feet to 50 feet, which is a significant reduction. But it sounds like the buildings are only, 14 at one point and 20 feet at another point? Is that correct? So there's still a 30-foot difference between the architectural feature and the tallest point of the buildings, or did I misinterpret some of those numbers?
Commissioner Franz, yes, you're right. There is still a significant height difference between that monument sign and the height and the building height, but it's been reduced by the applicant.
Okay. And I have one more question. I think during the meeting that we had before, we talked about limiting the access to Avenue 49. Did I also hear correctly that there's a plan to widen Avenue 49 now in order to accommodate the traffic?
Yes, so the widen means basically they're gonna create a turn pocket to do a left turn and to do a turn into the property. So they will add a turn pocket just in front of their project.
So just to make sure I understand this right, if this is a left-hand turn, we're talking about traveling west on 49 in order to turn into the property, is that correct?
No, it's not a left turn, it's a turn, it's basically a right turn.
So it's a right turn coming off of Jefferson, the right, and then another right into the property.
Correct.
And so that only that little portion would be widened, not anything further than that on Avenue 249, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Not exactly.
All right, so I want to make sure I had clarification on that. Okay, those are all the questions I have right now, Chairperson Lopez. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Friends. Any other questions before I ask a question?
Chair, I wanted to follow up on Commissioner Franz's question, because I know when we looked at the proposal about a year ago, we were concerned about the large feature on the corner. It does sound like that's been reduced. Curious from staff, I know it's a specific plan, so they're kind of proposing their own development standards, but if it's either the current zoning designation or one that would be updated to a zoning designation that complies with our new general plan, what would be the maximum height?
So this is a residential area. For within residential area, human scale is most likely will be the mass or the scale. So I don't want to go into a lot of details for tonight, but staff is aware of the height. So we may have some recommendations, but we are aware of the height.
Okay. And I think the reason, maybe part of the reason it keeps coming up, at least from my perspective too, is worried about setting a precedent. If we allow one facility to do it, we essentially allow all, because we wouldn't be able to discriminate against it. So I guess that's my comment and why I asked that question. So thank you. That's all I had, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez, say how you don't have any questions before I start?
None for me at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. So my question is for the applicant. And I just want to be sure, because of the way how that area is zoned, have you had a study on regarding the highest and the best use of that land? Has there been like any kind of analysis that you've done?
Are you asking me if I've done a market study on the real estate value and to determine what the highest and best use of the property is?
I believe so. Or if you've worked with staff on that.
We understand that the project, that the land has a specific designation that allows for 20 units per acre. We're not looking at this as a market value proposition for investment purposes. So we would not have done that kind of research. It's not in our interest.
So there hasn't been any type of analysis in regards to if that is the best use for that land. And I was just wondering if we can work with staff just to be sure moving forward.
I can't answer what that question for you, but let staff deal with that.
I just ask a clarification question from the chairperson. So you would like the applicant to work with staff to provide us with some type of document or a study that shows what are the highest and best uses for this property.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
We can talk to the applicant offline regarding that.
Okay. Those are my questions. That's my only question.
Jackie, just one more question, if you don't mind. Chairman Lopez. Just for staff, I know you have meetings coming up, and I'm sure that one of the things that you're going to be discussing is traffic flow. And I just want to, ask that be something that is, very, very carefully looked at, especially for Avenue 49. So just, I'm assuming that's going to happen, correct?
I apologize. Yes, the applicant has submitted a traffic study. The first one was based on the larger attendees and larger seats. They reduced that, so they submitted a new traffic study, a revised traffic study based on that reduced number of the seats, and has been reviewed by our traffic engineer consultant. So when we come back before you, we have information regarding the traffic on Avenue 49 as well.
Perfect, thank you.
If I could add, could I add just to that comment? We did additional traffic queuing analysis after the first public review. So we're very prepared on and feel confident about the traffic study.
If I could add a comment, please. Commissioner Franz, our traffic consultant will be at the next meeting.
Yeah.
So you can ask any questions of him on the traffic flow or on the level of service or about the turn pocket, and he'll be happy to answer those questions.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Okay. So I guess at this time, we're going to go ahead and we keep the hearing open. Commissioner Franz, can you help me out here? So we just go ahead and go into.
I think we just need to make a motion to continue
Yes.
the item. So
Yes,
I'll make a
thank you.
motion to continue the item to February 10th. Is that correct?
And there's a point of clarification. If we could just, a proposed motion could be to continue the public hearing to your regular meeting of February 10, 2021.
Perfect, that's my motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess we go ahead. Do we need to do a roll call on this?
Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Isano,
Yes.
Commissioner Seja,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez Seja,
Yes.
Commissioner Franz.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, so the next is our study session item, 9.1, the Maverick gas station, and Nikki?
Yes, ma'am. Let me share my screen with you. And yes, good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Nikki Gomez, and before you tonight is the Maverick gas station for a public project consultation. And this is just to consider and get your feedback for the architecture, site plan, circulation, and signage for this proposed project. So the proposed project is proposed to be located at the northeast corner of Gulf Center Parkway and Avenue 45 with in a 8.62 acre vacant lot. It is currently zoned as a community commercial with a general plan designation of workplace employment district. We are aware that there is an inconsistency between the zoning and general plan designation that will be addressed and clarified moving forward with our city attorney and staff. So I guess I just wanted to share, and I do appreciate our Commissioner Seja with his questions about the sign orientation. So I just want to walk through with the Planning Commission the iterations of the sign progression we've worked with the applicant. So initially, both of these site plans came before us for consideration from the applicant, and this was actually also reviewed as they went before our development review committee, which was reviewed with the internal staff as well as other appropriate outside agencies. And so they are to propose also to parcelize this vacant lot. And I kind of wanted to show them considering all the other feedback that they got from our the department, especially from our public works department. And I just wanted to present over what the site plan that is coming before you. And so this would be the third iteration of that. And so in definitely keeping the suggestions from Planning Commission of the building abutting that corner area that was pushed then to the side, which is the 5,000 square foot, about 5,000 square foot convenience store. And then the canopies then moved inward into the parcel. And limiting the access point of from Golf Center, which then just became one instead of two access from Golf Center. Avenue 45, there is two access, but the second one has to be a shared access with the other parcels that will be proposed in a future date. It is comprised of 39 parking spaces, and that includes all of the ADA parking. It will be 10 pumps for cars and then 10 pumps that is proposed for trucks. It will also include a CAT scale. It's a self-serving CAT scale right at the north end of the parcel here. Trash enclosure is up abutting the Golf Center Parkway, and of course the convenience store right here at the corner, both corner of Golf Center and Avenue 45. The floor plan consists of the retail floor, restrooms, offices, and free coolers right back here, beverage cooler here, and the delivery state keeping back here. It will also incorporate coffee prep and deli prep, I believe, at this portion right here, and also a kitchen service area. The elevations, and so the elevations before you is of their typical, the Maverick style. It is with a band siding with cobblestone and metal awnings. This would be the front portion, of course, right, as it from the parking area. And similarly, this would be the rear portion, which will be kind of at the corner of Golf Center and Avenue 45. And just for some renderings here, kind of just to give you an idea of the type of architecture. It's more rustic type of architecture that's being proposed. And of course, including in this presentation is the signage. They will be, it consists of the wall signs, the canopy signs on top, to be included in the pump station, a monument sign, and a multi-freeway tenant sign. And I'll just walk you right through that. So the typical wall sign that will be incorporated in all the elevations of the building proposed, which is typical of what we see in most of convenience stores. And they will also be proposing one or the other 50-foot freeway sign, and then a 8-foot monument sign, and there would be a 22 feet CAT scale sign, which is going to be in the interior portion of the site. And so I know as reference, and also to address the question from Commissioner Ceja, yes, I'm sure you guys, the Planning Commissioner is aware of the approved gas station from across the street, which is the 7-Eleven. And that was limited, approved limited to one monument sign at 6 feet when it came before you for approval. Please let me know. I have the applicant also online from Maverick to answer any of your questions, and staff is here to also answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Do we have any questions for staff?
I have a question. Are we, as these developments are coming through, are we suggesting to update the technology to something that includes electric charging stations? I feel that, you know, as we're approving these types of projects, and particularly with some of the changes that will be happening in California in the next year, few years, I feel like, we need to start considering how these projects are including and preparing for some of those impacts. And so, Nikki, my question is that something that the staff is moving forward as you're planning these projects?
I definitely will incorporate that moving forward. As these projects are presented, they are isolated to the type of use they are presenting. So if it is a gas station, you know, we take that in as one. And so an incorporation of something that is, like you said, more oriented for, you know, future energy, catering type of use, certainly that could be brought up to the applicant, although, you know, and it could be incorporated in the business model, if not already, and if not, that would be their decision to incorporate that. But certainly, that would be, certainly I could incorporate that with our initial, you know, consultation or conversation.
And if I can weigh in on this a little bit too. So there have been some changes in state law, Commissioner, that do direct when the provision of either EV capable or EV ready infrastructure needs to be put in. It is not in every circumstance, but in those instances where it is applied through the building code review process. So when an applicant comes in for a building permit, they are required to address that if it's subject to compliance. And this is actually, the reason why it's done through the building codes is because it was actually adopted as part of the building code updates, the most recent 2019 building codes. So, some instances, yes. The broader question of what you're asking is ultimately could be a policy question for both the commission and council as it relates to general plan compliance, as well as the city's adoption of its climate action plan. And you know, at some point, the city may want to look into whether, as part of certain entitlements, the city wants to require or incentivize or whatever methodology that the city ultimately finds appropriate, that type of infrastructure. So good question. Where we you know, in instances where we're legally required to do it, we are doing it. But I think there's a broader question kind of underlying your inquiry. So as a general practice, staff is doing that in the building side of the process, but not necessarily always on the planning side.
I just have a follow-up, Mr. Snyder. So that's something that we as a commission can initiate as far as policy is concerned, that the projects that are coming down have these types of requirements or considering these types of conditions if we wanted them to move forward. Is that?
That is correct. Actually, as part of the zoning code update project, that'd be a perfect forum to have that type of policy discussion. And if the commission wants to make any recommendations ultimately to council, that's the perfect forum.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. Any other questions for Nikki?
Would this proposal trigger some kind of traffic study or traffic analysis? You know, we're talking about 18-wheelers essentially coming in off Golf Center. So
that is correct. Absolutely, it will trigger that. It would initial study would be included as part of the entitlements.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions before I ask a question?
I have a question. So a couple of questions. We talked about signage, and that's a big thing for us. And we talked about how the other gas station that has been entitled has only 1 6-foot sign. And yet here we're looking at 2 very large signs and then an 8-foot monument sign, which already exceeds what we allowed on the other site. So, and I guess this is mostly for staff. How are we going to make those? We can't allow one person to do one thing and then another one demand that they do something different. So what are we, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'd like to talk to staff about what are they thinking about with these signs?
Thank you for that question. And yes, definitely. The applicant is very aware of that condition right across the street and has been discussed since the beginning. And so we are here just so that, you know, to satisfy and maybe for you to provide that direct feedback of essentially that signage being unfortunately not have been allowed on the other gas station. And so yes, if we certainly would like to hear that feedback from you, and both of these signs under, I guess, a freeway oriented sign, since it is qualified under that due to its location. These types of signs require a conditional use permit as well as a design review to go before you. I mean, it's to be separately on its own. And so as part of really the entitlement, they have to include that, and a separate decision could be made from that, or it could include it as part of the whole entitlement process. And so, yes, this types of sign will have to come back to you for your decision. And those two entitlement is part of that. So, but of course, as initially, that was definitely discussed, and they're taking their chances to present this before you tonight. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we've been very sensitive and very consistent in our desire not to have our I-10 corridor look like other cities' I-10 corridor, where there is a sign every few feet, it feels like, right? So that's definitely something that, you know, depending on what comes back, it's been a very big concern, and probably will continue to be a concern for the commission. The other question I have is, a few months ago, we had another gas station come before us, and we had some in-depth conversations about design and the fact that we were looking for new, possibly modern, architecture, something that was more exciting to bring a little more color and energy to the city. And when I look at this architecture, I do not feel that those things that were discussed in depth a few months ago are coming through at all on this design. Has that conversation been had with the applicant?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And similar to the previous comment I had, it was a, definitely, once again, risk the applicant take to hear directly from you that concern. And yes, absolutely. It is of modern design that is familiar with our desertscape here. And that has been advice for them. And certainly when it's their turn, the applicant could voice that as well. But yes, that has been discussed.
Just wanted to put that out there for the record.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Second.
Chair, thank you. I I forgot, kind of the informal nature of these design review consultations. So it seems a bit formal already, but we haven't really asked the applicant any questions. I'm curious. I haven't heard of Mavericks. When I did just a Google map search of it, it doesn't look like they have any locations in California. Are there any locations entitled in California? Is this one of the first ones proposed?
Yeah, I'll address a few of the concerns. And my name is Shay Bertola. I'm with Maverick Stores. We're a convenience store based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We have 350 locations throughout the Western United States. So we're a user that would come in and retain the asset and be a long-term user and operator at these facilities. Just a brief history of Maverick. So our convenience store, we also offer a grill, and like Nikki mentioned, we have a grill and made-to-order food. So there's a restaurant component within this convenience store, and then we'd have typical convenience store and kind of neighborhood or small grocery items as well. So it's a little bit, if you've had other gas stations or fueling uses come before you, this would be a larger store, a newer store that would have a lot more room inside and a little bit more to offer within the store. And you are correct, as far as California, we have 2 stores under construction in Northern California, and we will have our first one complete just outside of Sacramento, approximately July or August of this year. So this is a new market for us. This store that you see is kind of an upgraded store because we've pushed it we've taken staff comments and kind of what you guys have said in the past. And this is an upgraded store with more windows. It is architecture that's, more stone, and there's some clean lines as far as, we all have a different opinion of what modern is. So perhaps we'd have to work with you guys on how we would make that fit with your city and your desires, and we'd be willing to do that as well. And if you want, I could just address the 4 items that were brought up, and I'll try to be brief. As far as EVs, was
I
there a
just have
comment?
one question. Yes, I just have one question for staff, for Nikki. Nikki, my question was, is what, and I maybe missed it, what what is this zoned under? What's the zoning in this property here?
It's zoned under community commercial.
Community commercial?
Yes.
Okay. That was my only question. Okay, you may proceed.
Okay, yes. So the questions that have come up specifically were EV stations, and what Maverick would typically do is put in the infrastructure for a few EV stations on the property. That means you, at any time, you could go in and add those EV stations, and that's typical across the state of California is what we're doing. Some cities, and the attorney kind of addressed that, so that when that becomes a requirement, they would be able to go in and already have the conduit and things wired for an EV station. So that would be Maverick's plan at this location. We would provide a traffic study and traffic pattern analysis. Like you said, with big trucks, we have them coming in all the way around the site so they can leave adjacent to the freeway. So there would just be one traffic pattern for any large trucks or box trucks that would access the site. And we would also provide a traffic study with traffic counts on the site. And as far as architecture, I already mentioned that we would work with staff and kind of what you guys see as your modern or your desired architecture for the site. And then signage on this particular site, and we know Nikki has presented other signage requirements, and we kind of looked into your code and what's allowed per code and what kind of the desire of the commission would be. So and Nikki, could you go back to our signage plan? And I've just clarify that we're not asking for 2 of the large signs. Those are an if or an either or. And the difference in this site perhaps would be we are a multi-tenant site. We have 5 or 6 users that could go on this site. And, I understand your desire for limited signage. This signage would serve the whole site on a larger basis. So 5 or 6 users, and also kind of just get traffic to be able to know that there's actually a use off of that exit. So there would only be one of those signs, and then we're just proposing one other monument sign. So that's the 2 sides of the monument sign. So we're only proposing 2 signs, a monument sign and then a multi-tenant sign that could just indicate, the pricing of the fuel. And then the CAT scale is if people want to come off the freeway, and the benefit to the city is you get that tax revenue from people on the site that are pulled off of the freeway. And then the larger trucks have a weighing station just to indicate where they can weigh. So that would be the details on the signs. And those were the questions that were answered so far. But any other questions, I'm willing to kind of go over those and answer any questions as we go forward.
Thanks. With all due respect to the people of Blythe, I think Indio enjoys its reputation, I do, as being really the entrance to California in a sense. When you're coming down Interstate 10, you kind of fly by Blythe, you got an hour and a half of desert, and here you are dropping into the Coachella Valley, and the view, particularly now with all the snow-capped mountains, is phenomenal coming from the east. So I think we are always looking for enhanced design. One concern, well, a couple concerns that I have with the proposed use is, we call this an employee area for the city under its general plan. So how many employees do you employ, and what percentage of those employees are paid beyond the state minimum wage, and who's getting paid a living wage here?
Yeah, Nikki, could you go back to the overall site plan to show kind of the different uses on the site? This one here. Okay, so if you look, we're purchasing the whole outline of the parcel there. So the one that's a little bit darker would be the immediate use of the Maverick with our building on the immediate corner. A store of this size would, we would have a general manager at the store, and then we would have a district manager and a regional manager that would be over our Southern California. So there'd be kind of 3 types of managers. 2 would likely be in either home or corporate office uses, and 1 in the store. And then our actual store would probably employ 15 to 20 other users, from people that would be in the kitchen and in the restaurant portion to cashiers that would be in and doing the daily operations of the use. So this store, I'd say, would probably employ 20 plus people. Additionally, we're looking to parcel off other parcels of this site at a later date and have other use. Fast food use is what we show currently. These aren't under review by any means, but there could be the third one would be similar to a Starbucks or a coffee place, and then 2 fast food or pad sites, and then we show a hotel behind. So with the development of this parcel, there would be multi-users and multi-tenants and various different employment centers in addition to what the Maverick would provide on the corner. So there'd be a mixed use of employment at this location.
Yeah, understanding there could be some potential future development down the road with Maverick itself, 15 to 20 employees. How many of those employees are you paying above the state minimum wage? Like how many employees are making a living wage for California?
Yeah, we have stores that are opening in California. So and I'm not the person to answer all the questions on exactly what the wages are going to be, but we would have, like I said, 3 or 4 people that would be in more manager levels, and then 12 to 15 that would be at the. I'm not. There's not a number that I can present to you today on what the wages would be. I'm obviously not the operations side of it, but obviously there would be kind of 3 or 4 that would be higher, and then there would be the 15 probably that would be at the typical of what you would see at other locations with fueling and restaurants and that type of thing.
Okay. No, thank you for that. But I am curious,
Yeah, and we could get further data. I could provide further data as we come before you on other meetings.
I'm sure you, coming into Southern California, maybe this being your first Southern California location, talking about Indio and the entrance into California from Arizona. Have you done a market analysis? I'm really curious, given that you're 1.5 miles, 2 miles from Dillon Road, where we have the confluence of 3 freeways, we have a TA center, we have Love's, we have a casino that all offer similar type services for these big box trucks. How do you see your facility fitting in with those existing amenities, I guess?
Yeah, so we have done quite a bit of analysis on Southern California as we enter a new market. We have a finance department and a marketing department that have looked into this. We have 3 or 4 other sites under contract in surrounding cities, including we've purchased a site already in Victorville, and we're in their process as well along I-15. And what we've found in our market analysis is as our communities grow and as the populations basically, there's a lot of growth in this area, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but there's a lot of existing stations that have been there for 5 or 10 or 15 years. And there's a large need for, we don't want to be a truck stop. We're not a Love's and we're not a TA. There's no parking on site. So the trucks aren't going to come and stay on our site. This is someone that, they don't want to go to those other locations. There's box trucks, there's other local deliveries, Amazon type trucks that don't want to go to those larger stations. So we're kind of in the middle of that niche. And that's where we fit in all across the Western United States. So it's worked very well for us throughout the other states. And we anticipate that it would work very well in Southern California as well. We don't know. And it is a large risk and a large investment. It'd be between $10 and $15 million for us to come to this site, and then other users as well. But we're excited to come, and California definitely is more challenging than perhaps some of the other states in the West, but we're excited. And our market research shows that we have a great potential to expand and be that middle user, kind of between the smaller. We're not a 7-Eleven where only cars can go. We're kind of right in the middle, and we have a huge following in a lot of the other Western states.
That helps me, I guess, understand your business model more or less. You're not going to be at TA Love's. You're not 7-Eleven. You're somewhere in between.
Yeah, there's no overnight. There's no large, long-term parking. There's none of that. So
okay, thank you.
Everybody's in and out in 30 minutes or less.
Maybe a question for staff. Is there, understanding that we're still going through a zoning update to gain compliance or consistency between our general plan. does this zone today allow a gas station, or does that require a conditional use permit? Are they having to do a specific plan like we've seen on some applications? Will the future zoning designation require the same, or possibly even prohibit this type of use?
So currently, under the community commercial zoning designation, the gas station would be a conditional use permit. And I hope Kevin can chime in. The zoning update, I don't know what that entails as to what this is going to be rezoned for, if it even will. I could definitely look into that for sure, Commissioner.
The commissioner say, this is Director Snyder. Eventually, you're gonna tell us, and then you're gonna recommend to the council. So I guess stay tuned. It's a good question, but that's the fun that we all get to engage in, probably starting a few months from now.
Okay, I do appreciate that. I know we're cart before the horse and even asking that kind of question as we're all still working through it. But I'm curious if there's any kind of special approvals required for this, because I'm not sure how everyone else feels about this. I do appreciate Maverick's looking at Indio, but given that we have some concentration of these uses off Dillon, I'm a little hesitant to start bringing these further and further into town. They seem to work kind of on the outskirts, but I'm curious with the land use itself, the traffic it might generate from the big rigs, what that all looks like. And then of course, being California and the pride we have in Indio, looking for more modern design, really wanting to see a site plan and architecture that differentiates itself from Mavericks of Utah or Arizona or anywhere else you might have it. A unique type of architecture that really fits into this city and the vision we have going forward. So I think there's some hesitation on the use itself, but of course, always wanting to push for better and better design that, again, it isn't just generic anywhere USA. So
and if I may just add a comment, this is Assistant City Attorney Cow. It's just a friendly reminder, and it's been fine so far, but just a friendly reminder to the Planning Commission that the purpose of the study session is purely just to ask questions right now about the project, which you've all been doing, and just a reminder to refrain from expressing opinions at this time.
Thank you, Stephanie. I have a quick question for the applicant, and I kind of asked this last question with the previous applicant. Would you be willing to work again with staff to again look at the zoning? It's again to see if this is the best use and the highest use for that what you're proposing, and putting together like an analysis or study.
Yeah, we and we do this in multiple markets and look at the highest and best use, and typically that's a mixed use of employment, which we've tried to integrate it up to this point, but we could do an additional study, which I think could be part of CEQA documentation or other required studies for this site, which would flow along with the traffic study as well. So that's something we could look at.
Thank you.
I have one more question of the applicant.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned, hopefully the long-term plan is, more development, right? Not just the gas station, the hotel possibly, and the coffee shop and all the other things.
Yeah.
So you have, I think you said 350 locations in other states, which I did look it up as well, and notice you were mostly in Utah and a little bit of Colorado, that kind of thing. Do many of your other locations have extended uses like this, like hotels or Starbuckses or other?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So just to clarify, we as the operator would only operate the Maverick portion of this. We have a real estate arm, and I'm part of that real estate division. We would pad off or create pad sites and sell off those other properties. So if a McDonald's came in or if a Starbucks came in, we would just sell the lot to them, and they would own and operate their own operations. And if a hotel came in, we would, parcel off that 2 acres or whatever it is, and they would operate that completely separately. So we would not act as a developer, we'd act as a land seller. And development does spur other development. So and it does create traffic. That's why you do the traffic studies. This parcel a challenging parcel. Anything that's left in 2020 near a freeway's probably had some types of challenges. So we do take a lot of risk coming in and, you know, investing $15 million in developing a site. So there would be additional development that would follow, and we would just sell off those sites to other users. And to answer the second part of your question, we have sold off other sites. If there's a large parcel, that's what we typically do. We take what we want for our use and what we're good at, and then we sell the other uses.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
I have a question, Chairperson. Mr. Bertola, earlier you were saying that you are comfortable with working with the commission and the staff to update the design of the building. I'm curious as to what extent. I know that there's probably branding and certain features that might be part of your branding, but I'm curious if you're open to completely changing or drastically changing the architectural design of this to something that is to our idea of what is more modern, I guess is my question.
Okay. So the answer is potentially we'd be willing to do that. What we would need is, as we worked with staff and the commissioners, we'd have to understand what that looks like. Perhaps we have in-house architects and third-party architects. So probably what would have to happen is we would make a trip down to Indio with our architects, and we would look at 3 or 4 buildings that are similar or have the characteristics that you guys would like to see in our design. And I travel, I'm on the front end of our real estate team, and I've been there, but we would probably want some guidance in that. And then we would do essentially a business decision and analysis of, how much is that going to cost? And is this, we're not a giant chain, but we would want something that we could potentially use in other markets. It's hard to do this and just do it one time and, design a whole new store that you just use one time. So we would have to do a cost benefit analysis, and that's what I would take to my real estate committee and say, here's what the city of Indio would approve if we were to do this. And then we would, put pen to paper and see how much that was going to cost. And I could come back and give you the real answer at some point in the future, but we would definitely look into it, and that's how we would approach it.
And a follow-up question then to staff is, do we have design, what's the word I'm looking for?
Design standards.
Yeah, for these types of projects, is that something that then the commission takes on, or it's? And I apologize because I'm fairly new, right? So I guess it's to better understand, how do we move sort of the direction of these applicants as far as the design? Do we have those standards, or is that something that could be worked on?
So I could speak to this, and our zoning standards, our development standards, guiding us. It's not quite specific. Of course, it identifies it has to be harmonious with the surrounding buildings, and so definitely the major moving force is your guidance to that specific style or architecture. And so when we look at these types of architecture, of course we sway them to what would be acceptable to our planning commission. But to really directly answer that question, we do not have a very specific architecture design guidelines under our current zoning.
If I could weigh in, again, this to be discussed, because we will be going through the zoning code update process where the commission will have that opportunity to get more specific about kind of putting your expectations, if you will, in stone in terms of design standards. However, the commission, I think, has done a really good job of working with a variety of applicants up to date over the last couple of years, of really trying to impart your thoughts and ideas and guiding applicants through what the kind of the Indio look and feel is. So I continue to encourage the commission to do that through the design review process. You do have that opportunity to, since it is discretionary, to reasonably give guidance and help set the look and feel of projects. As you all know, you as a commission have consistently focused on modern architecture, desert-friendly landscaping, placement of buildings close to the street, making sure that parking is not a dominant feature. These are all themes. These are consistent with the current general plan that you're working with, and that eventually we will work with you and ultimate council to make it their way, if you would like to recommend that to council, into the zoning code update.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Sorry, one last one. Just curious, in looking at the whole proposal, I'm hoping if there is a CEQA analysis that it does analyze the entire build out of the site so that we're not having to piecemeal this kind of development, that we are looking at, quality sit down restaurants or hotels, that we're looking at the full range of uses that would occur here.
Yeah, we would work with staff and see what the CEQA requirements are, and I think that makes sense. So,
thank you.
Well, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item.
Thank you. Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you very much. Okay. Staff items.
Maybe I'll start, and if Layla has any items. So I just wanted to thank the commission again for your time with the recent joint meeting with City Council to discuss the housing element update. We got a lot of good feedback, and we are full steam ahead on that. Just want to remind the commission and any members of the public that may be watching that our first community virtual meeting will be February 18th at 6:30 p.m. And you will be able to view that via connection on the city website. We'll be advertising more on social media. We'll also be sending out a citywide postcard mailing early in February. In addition to all of Nikki's planning skills, she's also our go-to graphic designer, and she's done a great job helping us design that. So I want to say thank you to Nikki. So February 18th will be the first of the community virtual meetings. If you have any individuals that are contacting you that want to get more information, we do have a designated web page on the city's website where we are posting information. It's under the community development portion of the website. It's called Housing Element Update. Very simple. They can just link to that, and that there's information in there, and we'll keep adding to it as this project moves on. So I want to thank the commission again. On the other project that we've briefed you on before, the Highway 111 corridor specific plan, that project is also moving along. Right now, the consultant team is doing a lot of background analysis, and then we're going to be gearing up in the next month or so to move into community engagement. So you'll start hearing more about that project as well. So again, thank you for your time on the housing element update. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions or any other staff reports?
Madam Chairperson, I just wanted to add that we will have again kind of like full planning commission meetings up to March. So we will have a minimum of 3 items every planning commission. And then after March, nothing has been scheduled yet, but there are projects that we're working at, basically providing information and zoning and general plan information, and walking the potential applicants through what necessary steps they need to take. So we are anticipating to have a full spring and full summer schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner comments? Okay, well, I just have one. I just wanted to ask really quick, Kevin, if we have a date, so some of our commissioners are new, but to kind of go through process, if we have a date selected yet, so we can kind of get an idea of the process from application to end, and like what are the next steps, and to kind of get a feel for what when someone comes in and pulls an application. I just wanted to see if we're able to pull a date for that.
Yeah, so thank you, Chairperson. Yes, the Chairperson has asked staff to come before the Planning Commission, not only planning staff, but also building and engineering, to kind of give you a cradle to grave overview of our development review process, so that the commission can kind of understand the entirety of that, because you get to see kind of a component of it, but there's things that happen after it goes to you in terms of the engineering and the building side. So, and then there's also things that happen before you. We reference those a lot, but we wanted to kind of give you more of a overview of that. So Layla and I have been talking. I think we've targeted the March 24th meeting for that. We'll try to limit the agenda that evening so we can give a good amount of time to that, to allow the commission to answer questions. We're going to be meeting internally. We are going to be asking the building official and the city engineer to be there as well, to help answer your questions and to provide overviews. So we're working on it. And thank you for reminding me. That was actually something we were going to mention this evening. I think both Layla and I, it's been a long day. I think we forgot. But we will be coming to you on the 24th of March.
Great. And do you think we'll have our new city manager by then, or?
Now you're asking a question that I can't even. I will wait with you to see the outcome of that decision making.
Okay. Thank you. So if there's no other comments.
I have one. I have a quick question. Any idea when we might go back to in-person meetings, considering they've reopened restaurants and I don't know, all this stuff happened on Monday? Any ideas?
No, it's an interesting question, Commissioner. I don't have any ideas. I mean, the purple tier is still the most restrictive status. And if you look at the tiers, they're successively open things. But I think right now congregations of people are fairly limited. So I don't have an immediate time frame for you. I think that's going to depend on how we as a state and as a region progress through the pandemic in terms of improvements. So we are planning to be virtual for the foreseeable future. I know that we all would like to be back in person, although I know you've all gotten great and at the virtual world. It's always easier to do this in person, but I think we're in it for a while more.
I'm okay with staying virtual. I was just curious if anybody was having any conversations. So thank you.
No, not yet, at least.
Any other comments before we adjourn?
I was just curious, it's been a while. We've approved a couple, staff has been tremendous and extremely busy the past couple of years. The Planning Commission included in that. I'm curious if we can get a rundown of some of the projects we've approved over the past 2-3 years and kind of where they're at. Are they going to break ground, or they got building permits or grading permits in? Kind of where are they? I'm thinking of Ono, anything with the Mayan theaters. What's that?
I'll jump in on that, Commissioner. I've asked Layla and Gil, our building official, to update we used to have a development status report, and dishonestly with staffing, resources, and time, but we sat down recently and kind of recommitted to that idea. And I know that Layla and Gil have been working on that, so I'm not going to put Layla on the spot and give an absolute date. But when we do have that, which I'm, hopefully will be soon, we intend to share that with the commission as well as the general public. So it'll be something that'll be forward facing as well. But unless Layla wants to say something, I'm not going to put her on the spot, because I know she's.
No, I'm not in the spot at all. The thing is, Uno, they did their plan check, so they're in the plan check, and then Maya, I haven't heard anything. I'm with the COVID going on, so I'm not sure we can update you on that. But they went through the second plan check, and that was it the last time. But on the 24th, we can also give you some information on what we have approved maybe during the last 2 years since maybe February of 2019, which Mr. Snyder joined us. So I guess if the commission would like, we can provide that information as well.
Yeah, I'm just curious where in the development process, some of those approvals are. And then if we could too, on the Palms Center off Monroe and Avenue 42, I see the Quick Quack Car Wash is coming along pretty nicely. I'm curious that, the Planning Commission did relinquish its authority back to staff to approve these at a staff level. I'm curious if there's any other new development coming into that shopping center, since we technically see it.
Sure, nothing that I know of, because everything that's supposed to come forward, it requires approval of a review of the staff. So they haven't. It was the EOS, which it stopped, both EOS because of the COVID, and then it was Quick Quack and Arby's that they went through. So nothing after that has, or during the time that they met with the Planning Commission for that blanket CUP, nothing after that has came to a staff for that center.
All right, thank you.
And one of my favorites, anything on Dutch Bros?
Dutch Brothers Coffee. They because of what the first maybe month or 3 weeks of their opening in La Quinta, there was a lot of spillover traffic outside the drive-bys and even sometimes on Jefferson Street. So we have reached out to the applicant and we're setting up a meeting to maybe do a traffic management or traffic control during the first month with our traffic engineer. So we supposed to have that, but they have, which will be next week. But we haven't received plans yet.
Did they work out the problem with, I forget what it was, accessing some kind of a line, either, I don't know if it was gas or some kind of
it was a water line issue.
Water line, there you go. Did that get worked out?
It is, yeah. They're working with IWA, and they have a goal. I can't tell you if they'll meet it or not, but they have a goal of trying to be open this summer. And so it's not that large of a development. And so as Layla said, their plans are not complex, but they do need to submit them and go through the process with us. So we'll see. But we're hopeful, and as Layla said, we're going to try to work to get ahead of the traffic issues that our friends in La Quinta experienced.
Good. Caffeine is always good. Thank you.
Any more comments before I ask for a motion to adjourn? We need a motion to adjourn, or we just go ahead and adjourn? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Motion to adjourn would be.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So we'll go ahead and. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Stephanie.
Good night. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.